happens sometimes is that girls will give guys sex for the sake of getting the love from them. And guys will give girls the love for the sake of getting the sex from the girls. And it can go both ways. Now, with this lifestyle, I got into the partying, I got into the drinking, I got into the clubbing. You name it, I was into it. And granted, at the time, yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was very attractive, and I know what that's like. But I also know what it's like to wake up the next day when that party's over, when those friends are gone, and when I was there by myself. And I remember waking up thinking, I can't believe I did that last night. I hope I don't have to see his face in the hallway at school on Monday. What if he tells everybody what we did last night? What if I'm pregnant? What am I going to tell my mom? What if I have a disease now? What am I going to do? All of these things constantly going through my head. And the night before, my friends would always say to me, oh, it's all fun and games. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But I can promise you and stand up here today and say, the next morning, the fun and games was over. And I woke up hating myself, and I woke up with nothing but disgust and regret. And I knew deep in my heart, it wasn't worth it. There was a girl that came up to me after one of our talks, and she said, you know, during the talk I was thinking, all the hooking up with guys, all the going to parties, doing this and that. She goes, I realized I was just a prostitute who wasn't getting paid. And it hit her. It hit her hard. Now, after a while of living this lifestyle, my mother had an idea what was going on in my life. Most parents have an idea what's going on in your lives. As much as I thought I was fooling my mother, I was really fooling myself. And she came up to me one day and she said, Crystalina, there's a talk on relationships this weekend, and you're going to it. I said, a sex talk? Are you kidding me? I'm not going to go listen to some dork talk about sex. Thanks, but no thanks. She said, no, you're going. I don't care if you like it or not. And I thought, fine, okay. I'll go to her little talk, I'll sit in the very back of the room for 15 minutes, and I'm out of there. I have a party to go to, I have friends to see, I don't have time. And in that 15 minutes that I sat there, my life was changed. There was a guy who was very honest, blunt, and real. He talked about all of the girls, all of the sex, all the pornography, all of the partying he had been into, and he just laid it out. And I felt like that guy, he had grabbed my hand out of the audience, and he walked through my life. Like he could see the things I was most ashamed of and hiding, and I thought, well, what's the difference? He's done the same exact things I've done, and I just watched him, and he just had this peace, this joy, and this confidence that he carried about himself that I didn't see that in my friends. I didn't see that in the places I went to, and I definitely didn't see that in the guys I was dating, and I wanted it. But he had one quality above all of them that I wanted more than anything. He wasn't ashamed of himself. I sat in my seat trying to figure out one day that I hadn't been ashamed of myself after I'd started living that lifestyle. I couldn't find one. A single day of just true peace and joy, not worried what I'd done prior that night, prior that weekend, prior that month. Never any peace, always worried. And I realized in that moment, I needed to get my standards out of the gutter and raise them as high as I possibly could, and I needed to start respecting my body for once. And I went home that night and I wrote down every single thing that I had done, which was a lot and it was very overwhelming. Then I wrote down everything this guy had said to me, and I put it in an envelope and I hid it in my bedroom. Because I knew that weekend that temptation was gonna be there. And I can promise each and every one of you, those temptations will always be there. And sure enough, that weekend, there was that party, there were my friends, there were those guys, and I ran to that letter. And it was a very harsh reminder what was there waiting for me, and I didn't do it again. Instead, I wrote another letter, and every single time I was tempted to go back to that lifestyle, I would read my old letters and write a new one. So now I have this huge stack of letters of all of the no's that I've said in my life. Now, Jason here has waited 27 years for his future bride. In 2 weeks, we're getting married. I can't stand up here and say, on those Friday nights, on those weekends I was out partying with my friends, I held myself back for love of him. That I was respecting my body for love of my future husband, because I wasn't, and that's a lie. And I can stand up here and I can look in your eyes, all of your eyes. But every day for the rest of my natural life, I will look into those eyes. And it tears me up. that I allowed someone to rob him of a gift that was meant solely for him and no other. Now, Jason knows everything I've done in my past. He knows it all and he accepts it all. But he loves me for the person that I've become, and that's what matters most. But when I turned my life around, a lot of my friends, they didn't get it. They thought it was some big joke. They just constantly made fun of me. They're like, well, what are you, a prude now? What are you too good for us? What's your problem? They just couldn't get it. And they were just constantly making fun of me. And I went home one day and I told someone what was going on. And the best advice they could give me was, oh, don't worry about it. Just ignore it. You're doing the right thing. Well, I tell you today, if anyone makes fun of you for living out a lifestyle of chastity, of purity, of respecting your body, and you get made fun of for that, you remember it. You remember every single word they say to you. Go home, make a book of it, write it all down. Because when you stand in front of your bride or in front of your husband on your wedding day, you tell me, where is the laughter? Where is the mockery? Who is going to be making fun of you then? Nobody. There will be complete silence in that place on that day. And any of those people that made fun of you would pay $1 million to be in your shoes. And when you stand up there, you will say, I will honor you and I will cherish you all the days of my life. Well, today's a day of my life, and today right now is a day of your lives. So keep that in mind and take it to heart, because your lives are going to be so much more than these 4 walls in this high school, and it's going to go way and far beyond that. For those of you in the audience that are virgins, I have the utmost respect for you, and I think that is just awesome, and don't ever be ashamed of that, but be proud of that, because I know plenty of people who would love to trade places with you, and I am one of them. For those of you in the audience that have made past mistakes, I don't care where you've been, I don't care what you've done, because frankly, I've been there and I've done that, and it is never too late to start over. There was a girl in Philadelphia that came up to me after one of our talks, and it turns out she had slept with 15 guys in the past 3 months. Now, you know the names her school had for her, the label that they called her. That girl, she is a slut, and that's all she's ever gonna be. And I asked her, I said, why are you doing this to yourself? She said, oh, it's fun. You go to parties, you hook up, it's fun. And I said, is it really fun? And for once, someone took this poor girl seriously. She said, look, no, it's not fun. She goes, my parents are going through a divorce right now. The minute I walk into my home, there's nothing but hurt and hate. And just for the moment when those guys hold me, it feels like love. Even though I know it's not, at least I feel like somebody wants me. That girl is not a slut. She's not a this, she's not a that. She has a heart identical to yours and to mine. And ultimately, all that we want is love. So if it's too late for her to start over, then it's too late for me to start over. And frankly, it is never too late for anyone to start over. I don't care who you are, where you've been, what you've done, it doesn't matter. All that matters now is where you go from here. Now, later on in the talk, I'll give you a couple means and ways that you can actually live this lifestyle out. Thank you.
Now, as you could probably imagine how grateful I am that she started waiting for me, and she was afraid if she left those guys who were cheating on her, who were physically abusing her, emotionally abusing her, she was afraid if she left them, she'd miss out on love. But the only way we would have missed out on love is if she stayed with these guys who loved sex more than they loved her, just staying in these relationships, blindly hoping it's going to improve. But she had that respect to step out. And when I met this girl, she was free. She wasn't just available. She was free, confident, independent, pure, mature, and it was just wildly attractive. And I think with girls long for love. Everyone wants love. But I think sometimes a girl may want love so much, she can shoot herself in the foot. And it happens different ways. Like one way is like if a girl goes from relationship to relationship to relationship, and never sit still. My brother and I, when we were kids, we'd play this game called lava, right? You take all the cushions off the couch, and you like throw them on the floor, and you have to jump from cushion to cushion. You jump on a cushion, you jump on the cat, you jump on a cushion. Yeah, you still play? Okay. You can't step between or like you die. And unfortunately, some girls date like that, where they go from boy to boy to boy to boy to boy. By the time the girl gets to